Most people over 60 believe persistent throat mucus comes from allergies, a lingering cold, or simply getting older. But what if that's not the real reason? What if one of the biggest causes is something you do every single day, something so ordinary that you've stopped noticing it altogether? And here's what makes this especially important. Many older adults spend years trying to manage the symptom, while unknowingly repeating the very habits that may be keeping the cycle alive. In fact, the final habit we're going to discuss is so surprising that many people are shocked when they discover they're doing it dozens of times a day. And once you understand it, you may never think about throat mucus the same way again. I'm Dr. Robert Carter, Senior Health Advisor. For over 22 years, I've helped older adults better understand the everyday patterns that can affect comfort, confidence, and quality of life. And today, we're exploring 5 common habits that experts have observed may contribute to that frustrating feeling of constant throat clearing, congestion, and irritation. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, how many times do you clear your throat in a typical day? You may be surprised how important that answer becomes later in this video. Let's start with the first habit. But instead of beginning with the science, let me tell you about someone who might sound familiar. Imagine a 73-year-old retired school principal named Margaret from Tulsa, Oklahoma. For nearly 2 years, Margaret felt as though something was always stuck in her throat. At first, it was only a minor annoyance. Then it became embarrassing. During church gatherings, family dinners, and even simple conversations with friends, she found herself clearing her throat again and again. One afternoon, her grandson quietly asked, "Grandma, are you okay?" That question stayed with her, not because she was sick, but because she realized everyone else had started noticing what she had been trying to ignore. What Margaret eventually learned was that she rarely drank fluids throughout the day. Like many adults over 60, she simply didn't feel thirsty very often. Research suggests that our natural thirst signals may become less noticeable as we age. And when hydration levels aren't ideal, mucus may become thicker and more difficult to clear naturally. But here's where most people get it wrong. They assume hydration is the biggest factor. It isn't, because the next habit may be affecting millions of older adults without them ever realizing it. Habit number 2 involves something hiding in plain sight: your environment. Here's an observation that surprises many people. Sometimes the problem isn't coming from inside the body at all. It's coming from the air around you. Dust accumulation, strong fragrances, smoke exposure, dry indoor air. Experts have observed that repeated exposure to irritants may encourage the throat's natural protective systems to produce more mucus. And here's the frustrating part. Many people blame their sinuses. Others blame aging. Some even convince themselves that nothing can be done. Meanwhile, the real trigger may be sitting 10 feet away in the room they've occupied every day for years. Have you ever noticed your throat feels worse in a specific room, season, or environment? Let me know in the comments, because what you're about to hear next may explain why. Most people assume persistent throat mucus is caused by infection, but experts have observed that many cases occur without any obvious infection at all. Which brings us to habit number 3, and this is where things become interesting. Late evening routines. Specifically, what happens during the final hours before bedtime. Many people think the body simply shuts down for the night. Your body continues working. Digestion continues. Internal systems remain active, and for some individuals, lying down shortly after eating may create conditions that contribute to throat irritation during the night. Imagine a 69-year-old grandmother named Sandra from Mesa, Arizona. Every evening followed the same pattern. Television, a small snack, a comfortable chair, then bed. Simple, predictable, harmless, or so she thought. Morning after morning, Sandra woke up feeling as though her throat was coated with something she couldn't get rid of. She kept searching for explanations. Seasonal allergies, weather changes, age, anything except her nightly routine. The breakthrough wasn't discovering a miracle solution. The breakthrough was realizing that patterns often reveal what symptoms hide. And that's an important lesson. Symptoms tell you what is happening. Patterns often tell you why. But before we continue, there's something many viewers need to hear. One of the remaining habits is frequently mistaken for acid reflux. Sometimes it is related, but sometimes the real explanation is completely different. And the next habit may reveal why. Habit number 4 is chronic stress. Now, some people immediately dismiss this idea. What does stress have to do with throat mucus? Potentially more than you think. Experts have long observed connections between emotional tension and physical symptoms. Stress can influence breathing habits. Stress can increase muscle tension. Stress can make us hyper-aware of sensations that might otherwise go unnoticed. And once that awareness begins, a cycle can develop. You notice the sensation. You focus on it. It feels stronger. You become concerned. Then you focus on it even more. Consider a fictional example. Richard, a 76-year-old retired teacher from Portland, Oregon, had always been confident and outgoing. Then a series of stressful family events occurred within a short period. Over time, he became increasingly focused on every sensation in his body. One day, he realized he had spent nearly an entire conversation thinking about his throat. Not the conversation itself, his throat. The more attention he gave it, the more irritating it seemed. And this is where many people accidentally become trapped, not by the symptom itself, but by the cycle surrounding it. Which brings us to the final habit, the one most people never expect, the one hiding in plain sight, the one that may completely change how you think about persistent throat mucus. Habit number 5 is constant throat clearing itself. Yes, the very thing many people do to get relief may sometimes help keep the cycle going. Think about that for a moment. You feel irritation, you clear your throat. Relief arrives, but only briefly. The irritation returns. You clear your throat again. The cycle repeats. Experts have observed that repeated throat clearing may irritate delicate throat tissues. That irritation may encourage additional mucus production, which then creates another urge to clear the throat. And before long, the cycle begins feeding itself. Imagine a 71-year-old man named Walter from Jacksonville, Florida. At first, he cleared his throat occasionally. Months later, he was doing it constantly, during phone calls, at restaurants, while watching television. The behavior became so automatic that he wasn't even aware he was doing it. Then one day, his daughter pointed it out. Walter started paying attention, and for the first time, he realized just how often it had become part of his daily routine. That realization changed everything, not because it solved the problem overnight, but because awareness revealed the pattern. And that's the real message of today's video. Most people search for a single cause, one explanation, but persistent throat mucus is often more complicated than that. It's frequently a combination of factors working together. Hydration habits, environmental exposures, evening routines, stress patterns, repeated throat clearing. Each one may seem small, but together they can create a loop that becomes difficult to break. And here's what I want you to remember. The goal isn't fear. The goal is awareness, because awareness creates choices, and choices create opportunities to improve comfort, confidence, and quality of life. Before we finish, tell me this, which of these 5 habits surprised you the most? Was it hydration, environmental irritants, evening routines, stress, or the throat clearing cycle itself? I genuinely love to hear your answer. And if you enjoy practical senior health discussions designed to help you stay active, independent, and informed, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Because in our next video, we're going to discuss another overlooked issue affecting many adults over 60, and the truth may surprise you. Remember this, most people believe throat mucus is something that simply happens to them, but what they often don't realize is that symptoms are sometimes part of a loop of irritation, reaction, and repetition. And once you begin recognizing that loop, you may start seeing your daily habits in an entirely different way. I'm Dr. Robert Carter. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay informed, and take good care of yourself.